Hello, and welcome to the presentation on People First Language for Poudre School District and Fort Collins High School. During the course of this presentation, we will discuss a definition and description of what People First Language is. We will look at statistics and information demonstrating the need for the shift in language in Poudre School District. We will look at a proposal of new language to shift to using more People First terminology, and we will finish by discussing research and resources and supporting information to back up all of the information presented. To start, what is People First Language? People First Language means putting the person before the disability and eliminating old, prejudicial, and hurtful descriptors. People First Language is used to communicate appropriately and respectfully with and about an individual with a disability. People First Language emphasizes the person first and not their disability. A disability descriptor is simply a medical diagnosis, not a term to be used to group individuals together. These individuals are people too. Moms, dads, siblings, friends, co-workers, the list goes on. Looking at some of the numbers, 1 in 4 U.S. adults report having some form of a disability. That makes 61 million Americans with reported having some form of a disability. The representation here is huge. People with disabilities represent the most inclusive and diverse group. All ages, genders, religions, ethnicities, sexual orientations, and socioeconomic levels are represented. So why is this an important thing to discuss? Words are powerful, and old, inaccurate descriptors and the inappropriate use of medical diagnoses perpetuate negative stereotypes. Disability diagnoses are often used to define a person's value and potential instead of looking at a person's unique and individual strengths and needs. Our language shapes our attitudes shape our language, and our attitudes and language drive our actions. Words and phrases are insensitive and do not promote understanding, dignity, and respect for people with disabilities. A disability is not a descriptor for people who suffer from the tragedy of a birth defect. It is not a paraplegic hero who struggles to become normal again. It is not a victim who fights to overcome their challenges. A disability is not a reason for segregation or lowered expectation of abilities. It's not a term that evokes pity or forced sympathy, and it is not something that anybody suffers from, is afflicted with, or is a victim of. If a thought corrupts language, language can also corrupt thoughts. This quote by George Orwell perfectly sums up the need for a shift in the language that is used to refer to individuals within our school system and even outside of it. So, here we're looking at a variety of different examples of outdated language and the people first version of those same things in a more acceptable manner. So, for outdated language, instead of saying the handicapped or disabled, you can say people with disabilities. Again, that is putting the people first before discussing any descriptors or individual traits that these people have. Instead of saying he's mentally retarded, you can say he has cognitive disability or cognitive diagnosis. Instead of she's autistic, she has autism. Instead of referring to them as handicapped parking, handicapped bathrooms, etc., anything that starts with the word handicapped, switch it to using the term accessible when describing parking, bathroom, and other areas. Instead of saying wheelchair bound, you can say a person who uses a wheelchair. And again, instead of saying cripple, you can say a person with a physical disability. Again, in the people first language version, you are always putting the person before the descriptor that was used in the outdated language section. So, what to do if you are unsure of how to change or how to address somebody using people first language? Number 1, ask. Ask the person how he or she would like to be described. Preferences can vary from person to person. Secondly, apologize. If you offend a person with disabilities, simply apologize as if you would if you had offended anybody else. Equal treatment is the name of the game and the end goal. And then make sure that you are keeping in mind the order. Start your sentence with people or person rather than the disability. Again, the person always comes first. We can create a new paradigm of disability. In the process, we'll change ourselves and the world. It's time to care about how our words impact the people we're talking about and be mindful of the attitudes and actions generated by the words we use. This concludes the presentation on People First Language. Here are the resources that were used to put together this presentation. Thank you for watching.